Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar. A few logistical items before we get started. Please note that all attendees are on mute, and this session is being recorded, so you'll be able to access the replay on our website after the event. The past few months have proven to bring many challenges to our stakeholders with uncertainties about in-person internships, career fairs, and beyond. The information has shifted throughout these months, forcing quick pivots and adjustments. Students in particular have had concerns about the workforce in today's quickly evolving environment. With more and more conferences and college career fairs pivoting to virtual platforms, the fall semester is certainly going to look different than any previous year as we all work towards both adjusting and succeeding in a virtual climate. I'm Grace Grant, Senior Vice President of Chapter Operations, joined by my colleague Alyssa Bouchard, Director of Education and Programming. Gamma Iota Sigma is here to make sure that you're equipped for this new kind of recruiting season. So today we'll give you a glimpse at what to expect with virtual conferences and events and how to effectively engage students and candidates in this new format. We have also created the student equivalent of this guide to help students prepare for virtual conferences and events and better engage with your organizations. At this time, I'll turn it over to Alyssa, who will get us started with best practices to implement prior to a virtual event.
Thank you, Grace, and thanks so much to everyone who's joining us today. We hope you'll find this resource valuable as you prepare for the virtual recruiting season. Career fairs consistently rank as one of the top engagement preferences for students. And even though they will certainly look different this fall, these recruiting events have significant influence on student employment decisions. So we are very excited to share these best practices for engaging candidates and students at virtual events. Here's what our program will look like today. We'll cover what to do before the event to prepare, what to do the day of to engage students and candidates at the event and maximize your participation, and then what to do after the event to follow through and hire great talent. We'll also give you a sneak peek of the Gamma Iota Sigma Virtual Annual Conference and its features. We'll share some additional resources for recruiting talent, and then we'll open it up for Q&A at the end. I do want to point out that you can ask questions at any time throughout the presentation in the questions box to the right of your screen, and then we'll address those at the end. Preparation prior to the event is really key when it comes to facilitating successful student and candidate virtual engagement. There are a few steps you can take before the event that will make your life a little easier on the day of, especially if you're coordinating your company's participation. First, you will want to make sure that you're registered for the event. And this might seem a little obvious, but every event is different. There can be a lot of moving parts, different point persons for each company. So determine who needs to register and what that entails. And we recommend doing that well in advance. Your branding usually doesn't start until you've registered. So you can better showcase your brand and get greater ROI on those sponsorship or registration dollars by registering early. And then once you're registered, always double check that confirmation email. There's almost always additional instructions provided in that email, so be sure to save that for future reference. Test the event access in advance as well. You may need to download or install add-ons to get access to the virtual conference software. So do that in advance and keep your username and your password on hand for the event so you can get in without the delay, especially if you're the one coordinating your company's participation in the event. Download the conference app. Not all conferences offer this, but if they do, it usually has helpful information like the agenda, attendee profiles, maybe even resumes of candidates or students. You'll also want to complete your participant profile. And this is usually done in the registration stage or through the conference app, and it will allow you to add typically your headshot, bio, contact information, link your LinkedIn profile, and other details so that candidates can find and connect with you easily. And if you are coordinating your company's participation, encourage your colleagues to make sure that profile is complete as well. Review the agenda and know which sessions you and your colleagues need to attend or plan to attend, and add those to your calendar. Check your technology before the event. We're all reliant on technology right now, so just confirm your headphones, microphone, webcam, and laptop are in working order. And it's always a good idea to restart your laptop before the event to allow time for system updates that may otherwise slow down your computer and potentially impede your interactions with candidates. Before the event, you'll also want to know your primary conference contact, your go-to for questions about sponsorship benefits and logistics. And keep in mind, your primary contact is going to be really busy the day of and the week of the event, managing the participation of many different stakeholders. So proactively anticipate things you might need to ask them before the event, and to ensure quicker response times, and then know how to best reach them if something urgent comes up during the event itself. Maybe that's a text instead of an email. Perhaps that's the conference help desk. So, for example, our virtual fall events will have an information booth, and a GIS staff member will be there at all times. So be aware of the best contact method for urgent matters on the day of the event. Review your sponsor and exhibitor benefits. For most conferences, you'll receive a sponsorship summary outlining the sponsorship benefits and action items, things like attendee registration, submitting an ad, submitting a logo. Put those action items on your calendar so you can be sure to meet every deadline and make the most of your sponsorship and really get the maximum benefit from that. Customize your booth. Include a company overview, digital career brochures, marketing videos, and when customizing your booth, consider what is going to resonate best with candidates. Gamma Iota Sigma hosts and conducts an annual recruiting survey, and the results tell us that the top 3 driving influencers in employment decisions are future growth, compensation, and culture. And other key considerations for students are the benefits package, salary, healthcare, 401k, and PTO. So use your booth to tailor your message to the audience and showcase the benefits that will best resonate with those students or candidates. Build a team of employees to represent your organization in the career fair or the exhibit hall. These employees should be very engaged and knowledgeable about the company and its opportunities. We encourage companies to bring Gamma Iota Sigma alumni as booth reps for our events because they can really be just incredible ambassadors for your company. And that's a good idea to do if you're attending a university as well. It's also important to have a diverse group of company representatives. Gamma Iota Sigma has an incredibly diverse student membership of all backgrounds, all skill sets, and our annual recruiting survey tells us that most students believe a commitment to and demonstration of diversity at all levels of the company is important, and that actually factors into their employment decisions. Make a booth and conference schedule. Conferences, even virtual ones, have a lot of moving parts. Career fairs, interviews, networking, sessions, and having a master schedule for all your company's participants can keep everyone on the same page. If your booth reps plan to alternate shifts, because sometimes, exhibit halls and career fairs, they can go for several hours at a time, schedule some overlap time between shifts to ensure a smooth transition and make sure you have adequate coverage at all times. Familiarize yourself and your team with conference communication options. Virtual event platforms allow communication through text, through audio, video, or it could be a combination of the 3. And so if you have meetings or interviews scheduled during the conference, confirm with your candidate and let them know whether those meetings are going to be text, whether they'll be audio or video, and take care of that well in advance. Also, before the event, it's a great idea to post job and internship opportunities to both your company website and the conference webpage or career portal, if that's an option. Gamma Iota Sigma's sustaining partners and some annual conference sponsors, depending on the sponsorship level, receive complimentary postings for Gamma Iota Sigma's Career Center, and our internships are always free to post in the Career Center. So posting these opportunities in advance allows students and candidates to apply in advance. They can reference specific openings when visiting your booth, and they can make your booth a priority. Prepare your elevator pitches. This is not just important for candidates. It's really important for companies and representatives as well. So you'll have ideally 2 elevator pitches. First, your personal pitch, and that could include your company, your role in the insurance industry, maybe your alma mater, especially if you're a Gamma Iota Sigma alumnus or if you're at a university career fair. And then you'll have an organization pitch. So that might address what your company does. Is it a regional, national, or global firm? Does it specialize in certain product lines or certain specialties? And if you're representing a professional association, what are the benefits of involvement or membership? You may want to prepare some talking points for booth reps so that your messaging is consistent across the board. Review the attendee list as well, usually provided again in the conference app or on the website, and make a list of your must-meet candidates. Reach out to them in advance just to let them know you're interested in them as a candidate and invite them to visit your booth. And if a resume book is provided, review those in advance and schedule those meetings or interviews if that's an option. And just a heads up, if you're attending a conference with 600 plus students, like our annual conference, it can be a lot of resumes to go through. So go ahead and get some people lined up to help review those resumes. Promote your conference participation on social media, both on your personal LinkedIn page and also ask your marketing department to post on your corporate social media sites. A lot of marketing teams can help you create, graphics, something as simple as something that says, we're proud to sponsor the 2020 Gamma Iota Sigma Annual Conference. Come visit our booth. If it's a Gamma event, when you post that on LinkedIn or when your marketing department posts that, be sure to tag us so we can share that post. And that's a good rule of thumb just for any conference event. Always be sure to tag the conference host because they're able to quickly share that and hopefully help you get some additional virtual foot traffic on the day of the event. Let's talk about how you can optimize your participation and your candidate engagement on the day of the conference. First, very simply, be accessible, be available, have adequate coverage at your booth at all times during the event to leave students with a positive impression. And if reps need to step away from their booth for a moment, which we all do during a long conference day, make sure they log off or indicate that they're away so it doesn't look like they're unresponsive if a student is trying to speak to that particular booth rep. Be proactive. You don't have to wait for students and candidates to come to you in a virtual conference. Find ways to engage them in the virtual lobby, in networking lounges, which are offered by many conference hosts, in sessions. And if a candidate stops by your booth, you'll be quick to welcome them and ask what questions they may have. Facilitate some informal networking opportunities as well. Encourage your colleagues to drop into virtual networking spaces like the virtual networking lounge, interest groups, or chat rooms in the conference to engage with candidates in a less formal setting and help ensure that your company is really visible and covering all touch points of the event. Identify next steps and follow through with candidates. If you have a great conversation with or an interview with a student or candidate, clarify right then and there action items that they need to complete following the conference. Do they need to complete a job application? Give them an idea of next steps from your standpoint, and when can they expect to hear back from you? And then promote your conference participation on social media on the day of the event. Of course, you would have done this leading up to the event, but certainly do it again. Use the conference hashtags and tag the conference host again so they can share that and help drive more attendees to your booth. Now I'm going to pass it over to my colleague Grace Grant, who's going to talk about great practices for after the event to follow through with your candidate engagement.
Thank you, Alyssa. Thank you for that helpful information. Now that the event has concluded and you've actively engaged with potential candidates, there are still a few critical steps for a thorough experience for both you and the student prospects. First and foremost, take the time to follow up with your top candidates. We recommend following up within 2 to 3 business days after the conference with top booth visitors and candidates to advise of next steps. Don't forget to take advantage of any reports that may be available to you from the conference host. Some conference hosts will offer sponsoring companies a post-conference report that provides engagement statistics, a list of booth visitors, conversations, and more. So be sure to access this report for helpful information. Next, be sure to explore future engagement opportunities. Engaging future talent is important year-round. So see what other opportunities and events the conference host has for branding and engagement. It is important to keep your organization's brand in front of potential candidates, even in the recruiting off-season and even if your organization does not recruit. Any exposure you have to students only helps to elevate your brand and increase awareness of all you have to offer, whether it comes with job opportunities or not. Lastly, always take the time to provide feedback. Most conference hosts will send a post-event survey asking for feedback on the event, and your feedback really is invaluable in informing future events, whether it's by offering praise or sharing areas for improvement. So keep your eye out for a post-conference survey and take the time to share your thoughts. Next, we are excited to share a sneak peek at our upcoming annual conference. The Gamma Iota Sigma team is thrilled to present the 49th Annual International Conference, which will be taking place September 24th to the 25th through use of an interactive virtual platform called vFairs. This platform will allow for an engaging and dynamic experience for all attendees by means of video conferencing, live-streamed educational sessions, and swag bags for ease of promoting your organization's resources. Students will have the opportunity to build their swag bag based on the information you choose to promote in your respective booths. So be sure to take advantage of this opportunity. At the conference, you'll have a chance to connect with top talent from across the country interested in a wide range of careers, opportunities, and resources. Given the virtual format, we are able to open the conference to all students interested in attending. So don't miss this chance to connect with top talent. When you enter the vFairs lobby, you will be able to explore the event much like you would in person. So you will have the option to stop by the auditorium, to listen in, or in some cases, present your educational sessions. Much like in person, the exhibit hall will also house booths for each exhibiting organization. Through your customized booth, you will have the option of uploading a logo, job opportunities, online materials, and more. Some sponsorship levels include the option to upload additional resources, allowing students to build that swag bag for later reference. Throughout the exhibit hall, you will have the option to connect with students through audio, video conferencing, or through a text-based chat function, allowing for ease of communication for all attendees. Through the vFairs platform, sponsors will be able to view resumes during and following the event. Those with the added benefit of early access will also be able to view resumes a week in advance of the event. Gamma Iota Sigma now has over 90 chapters and growing with over 5,000 student members. So this unique opportunity gives you single access to this diverse range of talent. A silver lining to this virtual world we're all living in is that we're able to open this conference to an unlimited number of student attendees from both GIS and non-GIS schools. From affordability to ease of access, we are really looking forward to a record number of student attendees. We are also thrilled to offer free access to this event to our sustaining partner companies, including the innovator, leader, and visionary levels. We have other levels for sponsorship engagement, which includes an option for our professional association partners. So whether you are recruiting or looking to promote your organization's engagement opportunities, there really is an option for everyone. Before we conclude, we'd like to quickly share a few additional resources and opportunities for further engagement with GIS. Shortly after the annual conference, we will have 2 additional opportunities to engage with top candidates. These events will allow for more engagement with students from across the country. So don't miss out on this opportunity if it applies to you, taking place October 6th and October 20th.
And finally, we'll add one more resource before we get to the Q&A portion of our program. Gamma Iota Sigma's Career Center is open year-round for you to post entry-level jobs and internships. As I mentioned earlier, internships are always free to post. If you're a sustaining partner of Gamma Iota Sigma, or if you're an event sponsor for our annual conference, you may receive complimentary job postings. Be sure to ask us about that if you're not sure. The Career Center sees a lot of activity from students, particularly this time of year as fall recruiting season kicks off and leading up to the Gamma Iota Sigma annual conference. So please leverage this tool to promote your organization and gain additional brand visibility. And now we will move to the Q&A portion of the program. You can submit your questions through the chat, through the questions function at the right of your screen. And I'll ask Grace if you can see those questions and yes, and read those for the Q&A portion.
Yes, absolutely. Happy to answer these questions. We have a couple questions coming in regards to resume access. One as it pertains, I believe, to the annual conference and one to the Leadership Symposium. So I'll just address both. So for the Leadership Symposium, you should have received a link to be able to go in and customize your booth. Once you do that, you can then enter the portal again. You can log in and view the resumes that have been uploaded by our students now. So that access is available now. And if you're having any issues with accessing that information, please feel free to reach out to us by email, but you should be able to view it now for the Leadership Symposium. For the annual conference, it does depend on your sponsorship level. So if you do receive early access as a benefit of your sponsorship, you'll be able to view it at least 1 week in advance of the conference. We also have a question here about when the VFair site will be open to be able to design the booth. The VFair site is actually open now. So one thing about the VFair site that is good for us is that it's one domain. So it's essentially like you're putting up and tearing down a career fair. But if you're going to leave your booth up, you can leave it up from the Leadership Symposium till the annual conference. And we have the ability on the back end to go in and either hide or make active booths that would be participating in either event. So if you're only participating in the annual conference and not the Leadership Symposium, you're still able to go in and modify your booth. We just wouldn't make it viewable during the Leadership Symposium. We also have a question in regards to the agenda for the annual conference, and I will allow Alyssa to respond to that question and whether or not we have that publicly displayed at this point.
So the agenda for the annual conference is not available today. It will be available within the next week or so, and we'll be sharing that on our website. We are still finalizing a dynamic lineup of speakers, but we will be getting all of that information to you very soon, and that agenda will be made live within the next week or so.
And a couple more questions coming in just to clarify on the timing of the booth setup. So right now we are very laser focused on our upcoming leadership symposium, which is taking place next week. So we are ensuring that all of our partners who are participating in the leadership symposium are set up and ready to go. So you may not have received your booth setup information yet if you are only participating in the annual conference. I would expect that following the leadership symposium in the first week of September. So you will have the whole month of September to set up your booth if you are only participating in the annual conference. If you are also participating in the leadership symposium, you should definitely have received that link by now. So if you haven't, please get in touch with us after this so we can provide that to you and help you get your booth situated for next week's event. We also have a question pertaining to whether a guide will be sent out for how to set up the booths and what that looks like. We do have a demo video that will be exactly what you're looking for. It walks through and visually displays how to set up your booth. It was made available also during our town hall, which took place a couple weeks ago. So what we can do following this webinar is send out a link to the town hall as well as a link to that booth demo video, which should answer all of your questions about booth setup. And I believe we have covered all of the questions listed in the queue here. We'll just allow one more minute here to see if there are any others. It looks like we're getting quite a few questions about, how the leadership symposium booth is set up, and when the booth link was sent out. So if you do have specific questions about that, you can direct your questions to us or to Charla Floyd. The email would have come from Charla with the booth link, and I'm sure that she would be happy to send that out if you have not yet received it, and we'll make sure that you're situated for the leadership symposium next week.
Any other questions, Grace?
I think that's all the questions we have for now. We are happy to connect following this webinar. Some of these questions may be more thoroughly answered via email, so please don't hesitate to reach out to us.
Great. And just want to thank everyone again for joining us. We wish you the very best as you recruit the future of talent for your organization this fall. Please don't hesitate, as Grace mentioned, to reach out if we can support your efforts in any way. And please feel free to follow up with us via email with any additional questions. Thank you so much and hope everyone has a great day.